Good afternoon and welcome to the City of Glens Falls Water and Sewer Special Meeting, Water and Sewer Board Special Meeting, March 21st, 2022. I don't see any public here for public participation. Peter, if one pops up, will you let us know? Great. So I think we can move forward to the resolution of the minutes of the February 7th, 2022 meeting.
I haven't been getting them, I realized.
You hadn't gotten it?
Do you still
Yeah, I
emailing
send them
out
out.
to
What's your email?
Chris Reed, 2 E's,
Okay.
JR,
JR?
yeah, for junior, at iCloud.com.
Okay. Okay. I can add it to my list. I might not have gotten it.
Sorry about that.
So maybe,
No.
Bill, you could review and make sure she has
Sure.
every commissioner's email address?
Sure.
Is it a new email, or you just all of a sudden aren't getting them?
Nope,
We just decided you don't deserve one.
You know, I figured it was like, it doesn't matter what I say, so.
Yeah, very good. Peter, have you been getting it?
I think so.
Yeah, great, okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the February 7th, 2022 meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Haven't read them second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye?
Yeah.
Right? Sorry.
They're usually quite good.
Yes, all right, very good. Can we have a motion to approve the warrant as approved by the Common Council?
I was wondering,
Yeah.
on page 13, it's, Raphael's financial evaluation. What's the evaluation?
Is that Raftillis?
Yep,
Yeah, that's
Oh.
the, looking at the overall, treatment facility and its ability to handle other towns' capacity along with the Moreau issue.
Oh,
So they're doing a basically an audit of the facility in 3 separate parts in connection with Moreau. So they were hired to do that.
oh,
Yeah.
well, huh?
Yeah, you remember, Peter, I think at the last full meeting that we had, where we had that executive meeting where we talked about the
I don't think he was
proposal?
here.
Oh, he wasn't there?
No, I don't think he was
Okay.
here.
So, Peter, we'll make sure we share with you. We've gotten 2/3 of the assessment back so far, and it basically talks about the overall value of the plant, what we've invested in it, what the first thing was of what the capacity might be worth, both what the capacity would be worth in today's market, along with the capacity plus the reconstruction fees, was in the first section that was turned into us, and we just got another section which is talking more about just the,
If we added 1 million gallons a day,
Oh,
how
right.
many overflows
Yeah.
we'd
Yeah,
have?
that's right,
CSOs.
and how many additional overflows we might get, and then the third part we're waiting for, and we should have in the next few weeks, we think.
Yes.
Yes.
supposedly.
So it would be the value of the flow itself, and then I think what we're hoping to see is that the reconstruction fee, what that might be if it was attached to the flow, is like right now they said this is what the capacity would be, and this is what the capacity would be if the reconstruction fee was added, and what we haven't in our past contracts, we haven't added that reconstruction fee there. We've added the reconstruction fee at the flow, so
Right.
we're hoping to see it both ways, and then discuss as to how to move forward with negotiations with other organizations, not just Moreau,
Oh,
but in
okay.
general.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah, okay,
All right.
thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
And that's a partial payment too, so there'll be other payments along.
Okay.
And we're hoping that will help us in general as we move forward, and make sure we're getting the right value for as we start to sell capacity to other
Yeah.
And that's, the report was approved by the board and by the council.
Yep.
Common council.
Okay.
I'll move that.
You make a motion?
Sure.
Would you second, Peter?
Second,
All in favor?
yes.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the repair, approval of the repair to the electric switch, was almost $12,000, right?
Yeah.
Yep, a little under 12,000.
I'll move that.
Motion,
Second,
all in favor?
yes.
Aye. Also a motion to approve the Butler Pond timber harvest, as attached.
So moved?
Second. Yep.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And an increase to the contingency to cover the contract. You wanna talk about that for a moment, Bill?
That's to, I guess the union contract was just settled, and, so that's an increase to the existing budget line item because those raises weren't taken into account during the budget process, cause
Mike?
nobody knew.
Yeah, Mike had made an assessment, guesstimate of what he thought. We got right near the end of the year and the CSEA contract negotiations were still going on. He made an estimate and it was just a little short of what it ended up being. And, so you're just approving that increase to your budget to cover that contract.
How much was the raise?
Well, the raise over so the CSEA contract that was approved, gave, CSEA members in year one $1 an hour increase and a 2% increase. Year 2 and 3, I believe, was like 50 cents, per, 50, or it might have been 75. The total though in your budget was less, was about, hold on, let me find it to make sure. It should be here somewhere.
Well, 2% was the one.
Yeah, was that the question you were really looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the total that Mike, again, he had to just put a guess in because the contract wasn't approved, would be $30,000. But that's over or that's in this year.
Yeah, so this is what
In
it is.
this year, sorry, 9,000. So you're increasing $9,000 from into your budget, out of your contingency. Okay?
Yep. So moved.
All right.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Yes.
Great. Bill, you wanna start with the discussion?
Okay.
Roger and Suez and the
Yes.
clarifier?
Yeah, so we have both Roger and Nick here from Suez. Roger's gonna give us an update on, the, clarifier proposal for the, primary tanks. I mean, he was here last time, but Peter wasn't, so we didn't have contingency. So if you wanna give us a fast.
Sure. Yeah, so we talked about it last time, for just a minute or two. We're looking to, do some restoration work right up the hill at the, 2 of the four clarifiers, which would entail, doing some concrete work. They're leaking a little bit, they're showing their age, and then, doing some concrete and steel recoating of them. And so we had a proposal over to Bill and his group, to do the work potentially later this year. And the work would be done under our master service agreement in similar fashion that we're doing the filter work currently at the water treatment plant. So our work started with the 2 water storage tanks, as you may recall, and then we moved and we started doing work at the filter plant, which Dick's in charge of. He's the project manager and he was traveling with me today. And then this would be what we call scope of work 5 and 6, I believe, I'm going off the top of my head, which would be clarifiers. So the scope would be to take one clarifier 1 offline, renovate that, and then as those coatings are starting to cure and such, we would drain clarifier 2. They both can be offline at the same time, according to plant personnel, I believe. And then work on clarifier 2. We would do it all under one mobilization to try to save some costs rather than pulling off site and coming back on and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And we're looking to, I think I have approved to spread the cost of the work over 2 years, just to help for the budget a little bit. There's no additional cost, so they'll just, upon completion, we would bill half of it, and then a year later we'd bill the second half of it.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's good. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? So just so you all know, I'm we've hired Marvin and Company to help us with ARPA funding, and my goal would be to see if I can use ARPA money to make one or both of those payments to reimburse the water and sewer fund. Okay, but I'm not there yet, but I think that, we've recognized this is a need. If we don't spend this money, that could end up with a lot more repair or bigger cost. So, if you are, in agreement that this work needs to be done, that's, what I'm gonna work on is see if we can use ARPA money for it,
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
You gotta do it, right?
Yeah,
we
we
don't wanna
have
get
to
in-
do it.
Yeah, we
I-
don't wanna get in a position of where the tanks fail and we're not gonna be able to use them. At least now we can live along, but we don't know how much longer we can do that with the condition that the cement is in.
So I think I don't understand cause I am so new as mayor, so I don't understand the process so much. But I think what you're doing is approving this amendment to your budget to spend this money. And then, I will work on seeing if I can replenish that money with ARPA funds. And I assume also Bill and Jeremy are working on, the regular CFAs and the other grant opportunities that we have, so one way or another, we're hoping to get the money back into the budget. But I think to move forward, you've gotta approve and consent to the expenditure. And then, my job is try to get it back.
Do you need that to be in certain verbiage?
I don't think we need a resolution right now, do we, Bill?
I
or
think what we'll do is because it's not in here, we'll go ahead and write it up for, we have a meeting in 2 weeks, so
Okay.
we'll take care of it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, we get the resolution?
Yeah,
And,
sounds great.
Yep.
Just
And
out
then-
of curiosity, is there any weather limitation to getting it done, other than like being above 40 for concrete?
Yeah, so it would be.
Rain's okay, or?
Generally, we wanna keep it as dry as possible.
Yeah.
So we wanna do it preferably in the warmer, drier days.
Yeah.
It's also longer days for us to get work done. And as long as the plant can handle having, one clarifier down for a majority of the time, and then a second clarifier down for a short period of time. I don't feel that there was a certain time of year where you couldn't do it in the spring, summer, fall, right, as far as, other than weather being.
Yeah,
Usually we operate with 3 clarifiers online, 1 offline, that's not a problem. It just comes down to as long as this July is not like last July, where we got 8 inches of rain in
Right.
a very short amount of time.
Sure, sure.
We can run on 2 clarifiers.
Yeah, and that would only be short term, I think, for 2 clarifiers, so, just in the transition phase.
So usually, the end of the summer, August, beginning of September, those are our low flow times
Mm.
because of dry weather. Comes to fall getting, but you have the anomalies like Chris said. Last July, 21 out of the 31 days I think it rained, so, or 23 out of the 31.
That's kind of what I was thinking about, if you get.
Yeah, so-
Washes these guys into the river.
No, we should still, even though those, as long as we have 3, we should be okay.
All will happen is we will just pass more solids to our secondary system, which will absorb them. And it just becomes a little harder to run the plant, and we waste more, and our pressing's not as good.
And I'm not trying to sound like a false sense of urgency. What we'd like to do is try to get the project lined up so that we can have the crews allocated, because we want the right crew on the job for the right type of work, so.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
And-
So I think you put it on the April 4th meeting. I won't be here on April 4th. I begin my vacation. So, April 4th, you get it on there and you guys pass it, and then I'll try to get it on the next council meeting.
Sure.
Okay?
You wanna have greens
But this is
for
supposed,
that?
Say it again?
Will we have greens here
They
for
should
that?
be, yes.
Yeah, okay.
this is a special meeting, can't you approve it now?
You could, but I think I think we wanted to have them talk first and answer the questions, and you'd put it on your next
Okay.
meeting. You could, but I think it's up to you,
I think, 2 weeks isn't gonna hurt us.
either way.
Okay.
Okay. I have the contract Sheila sent to me, and so after you guys have approved it, I'll make sure the council's aware. I've
Okay.
told them my intention. But again, that whole process of can we use ARPA money, can we get grant money, all that, it won't stop me from going ahead and moving forward with this, but it will decide where the money comes from and how. Okay?
Sure.
And I gotta figure out from Suzanne and Mike Regan how that all works.
Is it,
Okay.
I forgot to ask this last time too, is there any thought, or has it already been done just in running the plant, that, 3 and 4 get drained down one at a time to see if this is a future conversation for them too, or you look at them every once in a while anyway and you know what they look like, or?
Yearly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chris brings in each tank down yearly so that we can inspect it.
So we're just nowhere near those ones?
No, those were built in '86, so these were built in '36.
50 years, that all?
That's all.
Gotcha. Okay, there we go, dual sand filter project?
Yeah, that's, as Roger said, and Nick's the, project manager here from Suez on this project. We were able to go ahead and, complete filters 4 and 5, they are up and running now. It took us, some time to get them up to where we could, utilize them fully, and they're just about there. They're still not there completely. We have to wash the sand. It has to, all the fine particles have to be washed out, so it's bringing up slowly. We were running them slowly as we were utilizing 1, 2, and 3. We got them to the point where we were able to create the water and use them almost at 100%. They're still not quite 100%, so we were able to use 1 while Nick worked on 2 and 3 and got the sand out of them. Now he has all 3, but we're still not quite at 100%. So we're losing a few feet of water each night. So what we've done is we've contacted Queensbury because we have that intertown connection, and we usually exercise that once a year anyway to make sure it works. So they're up there right now, switching over, so that what we're going to do is go on Queensbury system and use some of their water, while our filters make the water and fill our tanks, and that should be for a few hours, maybe 6, 7 hours. Then we'll come back off that, and that time period our filters should have completely filled our tanks, and then we should be, these filters should be just about 100% in the next couple days, and hopefully we'll be able to stand the tide while filters 1, 2, and 3 are being done. So, and if not, we may have to go back to Queensbury for a day or two, while this is being accomplished. Unfortunately, I didn't have the computer and I couldn't get my laptop in time, but the filters 4 and 5 came out really nice. They look like swimming pools.
What is the time frame for 1, 2, and 3?
I think it's going to be a little quicker than the original ones, so hopefully about a month.
Yeah, we should be done by the end of April. We're multitasking it.
Before we start watering our lawns, I
Yeah,
guess.
yes.
Yeah, well,
And that's
that's-
why we're trying to do some multitasking a little bit inside now.
Yeah, so there was a lot of things that were learned from the first 2 filters that will be implemented during these. So hopefully we'll be able to go ahead and move quickly on these and get and one of the topics, and we'll be talking about this, is maybe we can get one filter a little quicker than the others, and start that online. But we'll see. So hopefully we'll be all right.
This
Anything else,
Queensbury
Nick?
water's not as good as our water. My grass isn't as green.
Well, now you know why. So.
Is there a cost to Queensbury
No,
per day at a
from
time?
what I understand, there isn't. It's just, well, this, like I said, we do this once a year anyway. But I mean, if we have to go any further, I think there may be. But past history, I guess, whenever we've mutually helped each other, there has not been.
Okay. All right,
That's my understanding.
it's good to know.
But so,
Just let us know if there is.
yeah. Nick, you got anything to add?
No, just that, I've done a lot of water plants. The team down there has been fantastic to work with. I mean, very helpful. Just a great team.
Great.
Thank you.
So, with that.
Next,
The,
change orders.
Suez change orders, I included the first 3 that we received. So, these were not budgeted for, because in the project, because I think Steve wanted to keep the original project separate from from any kind of contingency. He just wanted to keep the change orders separate from the project, not knowing what we were gonna have for change orders. So these are the, hopefully the 3 out of the 4 that we will probably receive, because the original one for the 8615 were for sealing our weirs on filters 4 and 5. cause we didn't know what 1, 2, and 3 would look like. So we've gone ahead, and now it looks like we're gonna have to do the same thing on 1, 2, and 3. So we'll be receiving at least one more change order for that. And that's, Nick, you can think of anything else that
Not
we may?
for code warranty covers.
Yeah, the other two included all 5 filters, whatever we did there.
Yeah.
But we didn't, obviously, we couldn't get in under the water, 1, 2, and 3 to see how those weir were, because we didn't wanna go ahead and create a bigger change order than find out we didn't have to do it.
You said there wasn't or wasn't a contingency separate?
There was no contingency included in
In
the
the
original
thing.
monies, cause
So is this coming out of
This
out of
will-
your contingent, you don't
once
have-
the project is completed, we'll have to go ahead
and approve
and
of
approve, yeah.
the total?
Once we know.
Okay.
I got a question, one thing, our work is expected to, acceptable weather, it's inside, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
What's the weather got to do with it?
Oh, no.
Actually, with the weather, believe it or not, it has affected us a little bit. Generally, what you're saying is 100% accurate. We have to store all the sand outside.
Oh, okay.
And with freezing and just the weather and snow and moving, and the plant guys have been phenomenal. It's been a partnership, we're helping each other out. But there's little things like that where the weather could affect things.
Yeah.
It is indoors, to your point, so it's minimal, but there is that option,
Okay.
that chance, I guess. So I think some of the sand froze, just as an example. It had nothing to do with the change order or billing, but that's just an example of how things could change or prolong
Slow
things a
down.
little bit,
And I think, we're past that point now as far as the weather, I mean,
No,
barring a
it's-
monsoon,
You were talking about the change orders, correct? Or
Yeah,
not to clarify.
yeah.
Yeah.
On change order number 2 there, the replacement, labor and replacement parts included for this change order, for filters 1 through 5. Doesn't your contract say 4 and 5 are covered?
That was the wearable parts within the Dynasand filter. These fern coat couplings were holding some of the 4-inch PVC feeds going to the different filters. And when, once the team saw those, Steve had addressed us to go ahead and get a price to replace the fern coat couplings that weren't actually part of the Dynasand filters. It was outside of the scope of work that was in the contract.
So we originally spoke with, as a team, we spoke with the filter manufacturer, saying, okay, what, from your experience with filters of this age, what do you normally see what parts need to be replaced? What are wearable parts? What's the norm? And so we built all our pricing around that. Once we removed the water and the sand and such, which has been varied, we saw that the vertical couplings and such, a couple of things that are not considered wearable parts were worn and need to be replaced, and that was kind of the group decision.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, fine, thank you.
Sure.
I mean, these are the first time these filters have been touched in 20 years, other than adding a little bit of sand, so.
Right.
And, some of the other things that we couldn't change, and you said these are the change orders of the project, but we have spent some money for Roselle to come in and do some capping of the compartments. The sand compartments down on the bottom and the things where fiberglass was broken off over the years.
Yeah.
So, obviously we learned that from 4 and 5, and we didn't know what 1, 2, and 3 would bring, but they're bringing the same thing, if not worse, so.
Okay.
So we're gonna be, incurring some of those charges too.
One other question, when you do the sealing, how do you protect the filters from?
Well, we didn't have there was not a need to protect the filters, because we didn't add the filter media yet. We went ahead and blasted and painted the ceiling before we added all the new sand
okay.
to the filters.
And then re-clean the filters.
Yeah.
Got everything out of
We
them.
cleaned them, and then we went ahead and inducted the sand, and then the team over there goes and disinfects the new media.
And
Okay.
before those, 4 and 5 could be put back online, they had to go to 2 series of tests before they could be put, then passed before they got put back on. And they both passed right away. The problem was just trying to get the water through the filters, between the pressure and all the fines were sitting there, and had to be washed out. So we didn't get the back pressure or the turbidity of the filters. Had to be corrected to meet the standards for us to use it for drinking water.
Okay.
So the ceiling work, just, you may be aware, but the ceiling work is broken up into two parts too, so we didn't do the full entire ceiling yet, we only did over the area that the filters were
They only did
offline.
over 4 and 5.
Oh.
So 4 and 5, the ceiling for 4 and 5 is done, and now that we're 1, 2, and 3, now we'll do that some
Okay.
further offline, yeah.
Okay.
And they're split down the middle, so there's a whole barrier between filters 4 and 5 and 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. Good, thank you. Pretty good.
It's it almost looks like a playground netting.
Yeah, I was thinking, how do you do that? How do you do it?
Yeah, so hopefully for the April meeting we'll have some pictures that I can show you. It's pretty interesting,
Yeah.
to say the least.
All right, thank you.
Timber harvest?
Yes. F&W completed the timber harvest up at Keenan. They surpassed their estimate, and so that's completed. So that one's now done, and they're going to move on to a one over on Butler. They've got in the area, so we're going to be looking at doing that. They say that their history has proven that they'd be conservative on their numbers, so, and they're expecting to get a pretty good harvest out of this year. And they're looking at the trees that aren't impacted by some of the species of moths and stuff, gypsy moths and things like that.
Great. State last asset management
Yes,
program.
the state is putting an asset management program out for 50 of the treatment plants throughout the state to qualify for. So we went ahead and put in all the paperwork so that we can be considered for this assessment program. It's basically going to look at our facility, the age of it, the equipment, the efficiencies and all of that of our equipment, telling us the life expectancy and things of that nature. Similar to what we have already on our preventive maintenance program that keeps tracks of the hours and everything and when the maintenance has to be done. This is a whole program that would be no cost to us, so we wanted to take advantage of that.
When do we find out if we're selected?
I don't think they gave us a time when they were going to announce the selection. They told us a deadline date when we had to have it in, which I think was last Friday.
When we got it.
And we got it in.
Not
We got it in
automatic,
way-
they don't automatically let you do that? No?
No, they're going to choose 50 out of, I don't know, there's 100 and something, 180 plants in the state or something. Chris, do you know how many plants?
Excuse me?
You know how many plants are in the state?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I thought I saw the number.
Great. National Grid?
Have not heard back from them, so
Great.
we're still holding.
Okay.
And then list of the streets for paving, so.
Yes, Tom, Jeremy, and I are working on a list so that Tom is supplying us what he believes is the list of paving that they're going to supply to the council, I guess, to see how much money and what funding you have to go ahead and pave. Well, we'll go ahead and look at the list and see what streets that we have any issues on, and we'll try to get as many streets as we can CCTV, closed caption TV, so that we can look at the condition of the pipe. And once we do that, we can determine whether we need to do work so that we can either dig it up or do what we need to do without having to dig a brand new road.
Great.
We do have a preliminary that we share with the mayor, and now we're waiting for a little bit more feedback from the town council.
Yep.
And
I gave them 2 weeks. I think it either went out today or I know we so we typed it up, separated it by ward, and it's going out to them, and told them that we'd work on the sidewalk list too. So yep.
You know, Jeremy just sent out an email to Tom and I, asking for what streets we need to be done so that he can get a list together of footage and stuff like that. We have there's $30,000 in a line item, but I think it may be a little less now because we had to take, isn't Sanford and Keenan gonna come out of that?
Yeah, we did some emergency work,
Some. So we're probably somewhere around the $24,000 range, or
For
$24,000.
what? For the CCTV?
To do the rest of the CCTV.
for the 54 Warren Street.
Right. Right, but that, what we're talking about though is that 30,000 was for TV, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
whether it was an emergency or.
What percentage of the list that you gave me, Tom, What percentage of that is $30,000 cover worth the CCT thing?
Yeah, we'll have to, those are the numbers that Bill spoke of earlier.
Cause what happens.
Once we get a better sense of which sewers might be, they make the short list of sewers.
Yeah.
We have problems on.
All right.
And there's
Then
a-
we'll get some footages and we
Okay.
have some past bid history that we can.
Yeah, and there's different costs with diameter of pipes and stuff like
You
that.
guys do pretty well with the street paving though, and with the CCTV, because there's a lot of, a lot of knowledge with the guys in the road crew that, we don't have to CCTV every street that's being paved.
Right.
We know where the problems are, and
Okay.
let's put it this way, we know where our planes come from. where the problems are.
We have some historical information.
Yeah, so, all right, well, yes, go ahead.
I don't know if this is proper, because there's a little bit of inside connection, but Fredella, no, that's not the right street. It's the one that comes off of Staple and heads to the back of Hill Electric. And it's, it
yeah.
like sort of doesn't exist in its current state. And it's
What doesn't exist?
the
I'm sorry.
street itself.
The street
It's-
itself?
It's just a paper street.
Paper street?
It was paved at one point. Some of it's paved, some of it's not. Some of the woods are starting to grow into it where it's barely a lane wide, and
Okay.
I was just kind of wondering if anybody had it on their radar at some point.
Yes, it's been on the radar. I wanna call Richardson, but he's not, he's correct, it's not Richardson, it's Frederick.
Frederick, that's right.
Frederick, it was on the list the last 3 years and then got cut.
And it should for a main street. I just,
Cause there's only, I think there's only one house on, to be honest, I didn't know it was, when it first came up about 3 years ago on the radar, I said, that's not our street. It's a private, it looks like a private street.
Oh, okay.
I think it made the list. It's out there. I think it made the list this year. The problem we're gonna have is it's gonna be one of those streets you don't mill because there's nothing to mill. Just overlay, pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah. And of course, for your knowledge, and the mayor will share with you guys too, is a lot of times the councilman will send us the list of their priority list. And that's, we work off
yeah.
the real needs, the priority list of the councilman, and, that's where the votes come from sometimes.
I believe there's an application in front of the planning board for consolidation with a lot on Frederick and maybe out alongside of Hill Electric. So there may be some future development in the works there that.
Oh, no kidding.
I don't know that for certain, but.
I do know that for certain, because I've been questioned about the water and the sewer line, where they would hook up to. Because there is no water or sewer line that we know of on Frederick Street. Yeah, there's a house, I'm not sure the builders, but I think there's another house that's being proposed to build on that lot. So we don't know.
Can you help me remember where Frederick Street would be?
Right, if you go, come off, Broad, you got the, not the bank, but the credit union on the corner.
Yes?
100 feet from the credit union on the right hand, it looks like a driveway. You really wouldn't know it's a street until you went by it. It looks like a driveway.
Oh, no kidding.
It's a dead end, right?
It's a dead end, yeah, it goes out almost to, it's sort of, the new house, the big apartment house complex there.
Yeah?
So it goes right into there, like you said, it's behind Hill Electric's parking lot.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so if I understand the process is that first we started with DPW's assessment of roads that we kind of knew need to be taken care of, our first assessment. Second is that list has now gone to the council. They'll add on to it or highlight a street that they either agree with or think should be a priority. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and start doing TV visions of the ones that we know are likely to be there no matter what, because they're a big priority. So we're not waiting for that. We're just starting that. Then at some point, Tom, Jeremy, and I are going to meet with Jim Thatcher who runs our community development block grant. We'll also have the sidewalk list. And so we'll start compiling those to see how much money we get in our CHIPS money, how much we get in CBG money, how much to put in paving, how much to put in sidewalks, and what the priorities are. And probably for the first time, we might share not just the priorities, but the streets that are on the list but didn't make it. We might do that. We don't know. We're gonna try to communicate more. And hopefully that doesn't lead to more complaints. It'd be, maybe sharing more information might lead to less. That's the goal. We know we can't afford to pave every street that needs to be paved this year or do every sidewalk that needs to be done. But we do have, I think we're gonna, I would assume CHIPS is probably gonna be the same, if not a little more, because the state has got some more money, we believe. And we know that our CBG money, we're gonna have more money in sidewalks than we've had in the past. And some of that can be used for paving too. So we might be able to meet some additional needs there as well. Probably have all this in the next 4 weeks. How many for you?
Pretty much after, we gotta get these out for bid.
Yep. Great. That's the plan. Anybody else have any questions? And that is that. Monthly reports. They are all attached for your guys' reference.
I wanted to speak up about F on one, the trespassing report. Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about having a real nice handshake agreement with getting water supply with our nice neighbor. So doing anything about the trespassing, as was sort of set out when this whole agreement started, seems a bit inflammatory, but even the way this report's written, I mean, they're always talking about trash dumping and trespassing, but just the language of how that's reported seems to be increasing, of like, guys, this is rampant, there is no law, it just keeps happening, no one cares, it's not being adhered to, and it's just, at what point do we go, you know, like,
Well,
we're never gonna enforce it, or like, I don't know.
You want to go ahead?
There was a, Rick Smith, who would have been here today probably, but he's dealing with the tile from Kingsbury.
Right.
He did stumble upon a car that was stuck up there on, I think it was Butler Pond Road, and then it went off the road a little bit, so it was stuck, and it was just the car. So when he went there, he actually coming back down, he ran into the woman that was walking back to the car that was getting a tow truck up there to tow her out. And he said, you can't be there. And in the meantime, before that, I told him that go ahead and call the sheriff, have him go up, take the marker number and take the car. But by the time the officer got there, the woman was already coming down. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, well, she's down, she's out. He warned her. He said, if you see up there, I'm going to arrest you. So we are making an attempt to go ahead and get the police, involved and things of that nature. And wherever we see the people, we do warn them and say, you can't be here and stuff like that.
So what I need is more documentation. Chris, I don't believe it's as rampant as you say it is, but what I want is I want some photographs. I want more information specifically about what we're finding up there and what we're not, and how, and especially like you're going up and there's dumping. I want to know exactly what was dumped, and if I want to know from month to month, right? If there is more dumping going on, trespassing we know, but I also would like some specifics about it. What did we see what's happening? We need more information so I can address it. We are separately. We've got this grant to protect our watershed, and we're looking at different potential uses to actually increase the protection by increasing the uses of watershed, but we can't do any of that without this information, without specifics. It's not enough to say there's trespassing. It's not enough to say there's dumping. We need to know exactly what is. I believe that anecdotally, I don't have any evidence, but I believe that the dumping in the lower watershed is actually reduced as a result of the use of that trail. But I don't know. And saying, well, there's dumping or there's trespassing, we need specifics. So I think that's what I would like to ask you to ask of your staff, that we want as much specifics as they can. Take photos. They've got stuff, you're going up there and you can see there was a lot of traffic, take photos. Take photos every time you go up so that we can see how many new, we can estimate, right? There's several sets of ski tracks, and then next time we go up, there's several more sets, or, I assume that the set's not gonna, if there's more snow, right, be covered, that anything new is actually new from this month, right? And we need more and more information. How many people are using this? How many cars are up there? Where exactly they are and what they're doing, so that we can start to address it. And I plan on holding them accountable. We're not gonna open up our watershed to more recreational opportunities if we cannot get a commitment that this is their problem that they're gonna address. I think they need to, if they want to do more, or not they, listen, there are other municipalities that utilize, bring people into their watershed, and it using that as a model to increase the cleanliness and safety of that watershed. There are models of doing it. It's what our Adirondack, our trails that throughout the Adirondacks use, right? You get dumping, you put a trail in that area, and then you allow the people that are hiking to monitor and help you know when there's dumping, so you can go up and address that issue. It clearly, having more people in a particular area, and having them police it is a model that people use. I'm not suggesting we use that, but I think that it needs to be looked at. And we have a town supervisor who wants to add more walking trails around our watershed, but only if then they are going to become the stewards of that, right? We can't steward that. We've shown that when we make calls, there's not the reaction that we want there to be. So we need more details. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I say that in all positive way. I believe that depends on who you're listening to, whether the lower watershed has more or less dumping. I believe it's less, but I don't know. We know there's still dumping. We need them to address it. Fair enough?
It seems like they're changing their spots, like the mayor said, It's more visual because people are more walking through there and.
Historically, I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
please.
historically, the problem with dumping has been, it's in the middle of the night. And, we talked about when we approved the whole watershed trail is, similar to what some municipalities do with peace officers. They don't carry guns, but they're sworn peace officers. They can hand out tickets for parking and trespassing and all that, about eventually getting something like that. But again, the problem is the dumping's occurring at night. You can't put 24-hour surveillance on all those properties. So cameras is certainly an option, and some other things, but I agree with the mayor, we kind of narrow it down on where it is, because, even if you hire, I know like Lake George, for example, their parking enforcement in the village of Lake George, I think they use all, there aren't full police officers, but they're peace officers with a minimum amount of training. They just go around and hand out tickets, and then give out a ticket for any violation that they see. So that was discussed with Queensberry when this whole thing was approved, so it may be that that's the next step, but,
They committed to actually having a council meet on a regular basis. I don't know if they're meeting. If so, since I've been mayor in the 11 weeks since I've been mayor, we've gotten no reports of their meeting about what they're discussing, if they are, right? We need to be part of that, and we need to.
I think Woody's on that committee.
Woody is on that committee.
That's great.
Thank
So
Yeah, and you're another committee too.
Yes.
Yep.
great. So I want to as positive as we can, and I do have earmarked technology, certainly cameras. I believe that that I can use ARPA money, that we should be talking about how to better secure our watershed, and cameras and technology certainly less or more cost effective than hiring people to patrol, right? So but the data will help drive it, right? And also our concerns, I share them, but until we have specifics that we can really show photos, here's new dumping, here's new dumping, here's new dumping, making the town address those concerns with us is a great help. Awesome. Thanks. Where were we? That was a monthly report. Any other questions about monthly reports? Then 5 water treatment plant operator,
That was what he was just alluding to.
okay. And then, I don't believe we need executive session, do we?
I have nothing.
Okay, then the next proposed dates are April 4th, the regular Water and Sewer Board meeting, and then the Water and Sewer Workshop on April 18th, 2022. And I should be back for that. Do we have a motion to,
Looking to underground anything,
We haven't agreed to this.
oh, okay.
we've
I'll-
asked
I'll
them-
explain to you in a second why. We can go off the record though.
That's great. So, motion to adjourn?
Yep, motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, we are adjourned.